Hello and welcome to Redefining Widowhood. This is Carmen Andrea Harris, the Joyous Living Coach and also the creator of Redefining Widowhood. So, in tonight's broadcast, we're going to be talking about Widow is Not Your Identity. That's the title of this broadcast. Widow is Not Your Identity. So, for those of you who are on your widowhood journey, and especially those of you who are fresh on this journey, you may have been holding very tightly to the title of widow, or you may be the complete opposite, where you are just appalled and disgusted by the title of widow. You don't want to be called a widow, you don't want to be referred to a widow. So for me, and you all should know by now if you've listened to any of my broadcasts or videos, I love to tell stories. So in the beginning of my journey, literally the day after my husband died, I referred to myself as a widow. I put up a post on Facebook. This was December 17th, 2018, the day after he died. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm a widow at the age of 38 and that my daughters are fatherless. And I guess that was me just embracing the term in a matter of fact type of way. And anytime I would talk to somebody, it would come up in a conversation. Oh, yes, I'm widowed. My husband died. And as time went on, it became like not a badge of honor, but the title of widow, I would grab a hold of it and it became a part of my identity, so much so to where became my identity. In some of my other broadcasts and videos, I talk about how I put my identity in my career, and then I put my identity in my title as wife and mother. Then my husband died, and I was thrust into another reality of being widowed, having lost a spouse to death. And I grabbed a hold of that title so tightly that it became a part of my identity. And I'll never forget one day in my quiet time with the Lord, I was as a matter of fact, I was on it was like a morning wake up call, but it was a prophetic morning wake up call where the leaders on the call, they would have a scripture and they would have like a journal prompt, and they would just guide us in asking the Lord certain questions. So I was on that particular call, and one of the journal prompt questions was, ask the Lord if there's anything that you've made an idol in your life. So I asked the Lord that question, and it may have been phrased differently, but that was the gist of the question. Is there anything in my life that I have made an idol that I'm holding on too tightly to? And the Lord told me that day in my quiet time when I asked him the question, and he began to speak to me about how I had made widowhood an idol, how I had made the title of widow an idol, and how I was holding so tightly to that title of widow that I made it my identity. And he began to speak to me about how he never gave me that title. The enemy gave me that title, and how I was just passing through widowhood, and I was not to stay in a state of widowhood. I was not to grab a hold of the title of widow, but that I was just going through a season of widowhood. And my job was to help as many of my sisters, not literal sisters, but as many women who felt connected to me who had also experienced the death of a husband, to take as many of them with me as I could to a place of overcoming loss and being able to redefine their identity. That's where the whole vision for redefining widowhood came from. And on that same day, he instructed me to take the identifier of widow out of all of my social media bios. So I said all of that to say the Lord gave me a revelation on the fact that widow is not my identity. Yes, I'm technically a widowed woman because I don't consider myself like single and dating or anything like that, but technically I am still a widowed woman. Is not my identity. That's just for all intents and purposes, it's just to let people know for context, but it's not something that I hold tightly to anymore. So for those of you who have grabbed a hold of the title of widow and you've made it your identity and you feel like it's the end of your story, I just want to encourage you and let you know that widow is not your identity. It is simply a season that you are going through. And I want you to begin to, and I know, for those of you who are fresh on this journey where the pain is raw and you're only like a few weeks or a few months or just passing through your first year, this is not necessarily for you, because I do understand, as much as I understand that what we go through is not just for us. For many of us, it's a part of our testimony so that we can encourage others, so that we can repurpose the pain into something bigger than ourselves. As much as I understand that, I also understand that there is just a period on this journey of widowhood where it's just like you just dealing with your raw human emotions in that state of grief and continuously asking yourself, is this really my life? Did this really happen? So I'm not necessarily speaking to you all who are still on that side of the journey, because I always want to be sensitive to, especially to those of you who are new on this journey, who are still trying to figure it out, who are still waking up morning after morning and asking yourself, is this really my life? Is this a joke? I mean, is this real? But for those of you who are a bit longer on the journey, maybe a few years into this journey, I'm specifically talking to you all just to encourage you and to let you know that widow is not your identity. This is not the end of your story. If you have enough courage and enough strength and enough faith to pick yourself up and to not waste your pain and to repurpose your pain and to transmute your pain into something powerful, then you'll be able to move forward and truly understand that widow is not your identity. It doesn't define you. Yes, it has impacted your life in a way that is irrevocable, but it does not define you. So I just want to encourage you, wherever you are on the journey, know that as long as you have breath in your body, you still have purpose. Know that as much as it may hurt, that you can heal, you can live again. It's going to be a totally different life than what you had before. But I just wanted to come on here and encourage you, especially for those of you who are feeling like widowhood is the end of your story. It is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter in your story. So again, this is Carmen Andrea Harris, the Joyous Living Coach of redefiningwidowhood.com. I'm a certified grief counselor and life coach. I have the links to my different programs and offerings in the description section, and I will speak with you all on the next broadcast. Peace.